I want to introduce the subject of remedies. I mean, with kind of depressed everybody with diagnosing the problem, but you despite the titles of your books, which have kind of downers about dead men and zombies, still you do have prescriptions for what the political reaction to this ought to be. So I wonder if you could get into some of the remedies that you talk about.
So the real dilemma is making the sort of the transition. I mean, it may be like sort of a Paul Volcker type of transition on monetary policy, and that's the tough political issue. But but if you think about it, once we make the transition, we go back to a normal world. What I think you have to go back to is a normal world where there's not so much pre-committed. Revenues automatically rise with the economic growth. They rise faster than does automatic growth in spending. And at that point, Congress's job is to give away money. They could do tax cuts, they could do spending increases, but the reason for that is that you don't want a hugely rising surplus either, because that would create a drag on the economy. And that's what we had for most of our history until, again, the recent decades. So that's the world we've got to get to. But once you're in that world, then Congress can do, our legislators can do what they want to do. I mean, let's face it, they're politicians. They want to tell people the good things they're going to do for them, not the bad things they're going to have to make people bear. And so it's a positive message. Now, how do we take that psychology and build it into the budget? It seems to me that we have to have a focus on the long term. So the sales pitch to the public, who is going to face these big interest costs and other squeezes on everything else that's already taking place because of these entitlement growth. I mean, we're squeezing what we do for the young, we're squeezing what we do for the working class. You don't think that's reflected in the votes and have the changing voting patterns over time? Then you're crazy. You know, we've been squeezing those people out by the things we are doing and the things we're not doing. So we have to be able to take and show to the public how we're going to actually make things better. But it's not going to be the next year that it's going to get there. It's basically we need to show some of these long-term gains. And I've always kept trying to say to people, even budget experts, I have trouble getting this message across, is there's a short-term budget problem that we've ever always have, which is that you have a legislatures or an executive, whatever, that's profligate year after year after year. But all you need in that case, where revenues are growing and it's not foreordained for the future, we don't have the zombies ruling, is you just need to stop for a while. You don't even have to take away anything from people legislatively. You just seem to let the growth in spending grow slower than the growth in revenues. So that's the positive side of it. We have to figure out a way to take that psychology of how you can and get to a world like that and prove it by again focusing on the long term. So we show some of the winners. What can we do for the working class? What can we do with lower interest cost in the out years in terms of things we need to do? There are some articles. There's a couple in the paper today about whether we might have to increase defense spending because we're not prepared for future hostilities that we're having, even along the current levels with, say, Russia and China. Where are we going to build that money? Or how are we going to have money to deal with the next emergency? Are we really going to be able to deal with the next COVID crisis or the next Great Recession? It's not clear. It's not clear we have that flexibility.
Well, we've got huge wildfires, and they're talking about emergencies. There are, weather-related emergencies have become. They've always been there, but I mean, the cost is really rising exponentially
That's
all over the country.
right. And Congress's reaction to these emergencies is much larger. What they did in the Great Recession and COVID was orders of magnitude above what they've done in all other sort of recessions and crises along those lines. I'm not saying it wasn't justified, but if that's the world we're going to, if that's where we need to spend our money, we have to figure out how to get the money to do it.